I don't think it's going to change our business much, depending upon how it plays out. We have had almost growing 10x year on year in terms of volumes across what we call RippleNet, and that's
Expecting a pump in XRP, is it really a hype or does it have anything to do with the reality? If you look at this one, this is for today, September 26th from IMF. So this one talks about stablecoin arrangements in the crypto ecosystem, and this one in particular is actually looking more close towards unbacked crypto assets. They go through everything, and there is a lot of information which you need to actually understand when they talk about assets, clearing and settlement, cross-border payments, cheaper, faster transactions, a lot of stuff like that. And the bottom part here, it really is interesting. Prominent examples include Bitcoin and Ether, although in some jurisdictions with broad definitions of securities, these might be considered as security tokens. And I'm like, okay, where are we heading? The direction is changing. Because then you go back to see the first one, which is highlighted in yellow, is actually from SEC kind of stuff. And it's like, okay, such as EOS blockchain, which would be different from Ether. So in the same para, if you go about like Ether blockchain, and the smart contract would have no further functionality at that point. And I'm like, does that actually mean if you switch from Ether, you will be chased down? That is a huge point which you need to understand. Then you go down, that's a IMF document where they are talking about how to restrict the sudden growth of crypto, restricting the use of crypto assets for certain activities, such as restricting derivatives linked to or payments in crypto assets, could be a short-term solution to dampen the crypto asset growth. So they are doing this purposefully, but broadly banning the use of crypto assets, however, would likely stifle innovation and could trigger even stronger incentives. So automatically this thing, long-term, the ban will never work. Short-term, you can do something and come up. But with currency crisis exactly happening, like what we discussed earlier this year, right now you're observing this. Say USDT pair for XRP is like 356 million at that time. And then you go look at Korean won coming into the XRP, just one crypto asset, right? You see like, okay, it's somewhere close to 500 million if you consider all the small exchanges as well. And why is this happening? Because of the currency crisis. Now this is actually 4 days old, but if you go look at what's happening with South Korean won with dollar today, you'll understand it's again getting devalued. So right now, if you ask the question, where will the money come from for XRP to go high? The reality is here. You don't need to go fetch someone to bring into this asset class. People are looking into this one because of all the reasons we've stated in the last couple of weeks. There is a massive fundamental change happening. And if you think this is just hype for XRP, you are going to be surprised. When I say you are going to be surprised, I really mean it. Because right now you have idea coming out here like this. Some central bank experts have also suggested they are going to work in between without the need of US dollar. You can literally go and ask like, okay, then why is dollar going like this? Why is the dollar strengthening? Usually when uncertainty is there, people tend to go into safe havens. Now, most likely you and me agree that dollar is not a safe haven, but at least big investors, they think the reserve currency is a safe haven and they jump onto that one. You literally see that happening at a time when, gold has actually tanked a lot in last couple of months. And that shows the narrative of inflation, the hedge, and where people want to actually go. So you now get an idea of where things are actually evolving. They are going to use their digital currencies. But my point there was like, okay, if they are actually going to use two central bank digital currencies, digital tokens of a country, great. But what will be the medium of exchange there? Now, why am I saying this? Is it just, me putting some idea inside there. No, when you actually go look at the way these central banks are building this, let me see if I can find that one figure actually easily gives you the idea of how things are being designed. And easily one of the easy idea there is like how this is going to evolve. So inside that evolution, they actually clearly mention different assets inside the crypto market. So it's not just crypto market, the digital asset market. So inside that you have those from the central bank digital currency, you have those from the utility perspective, and you have some security. So now there is a question like, okay, what do they actually mean by the securities? Because here they even include Bitcoin and Ether in some jurisdictions can be security. Great. Now you look at the NFT tokens, then you look at the security tokens, utility tokens, and then you look at the bracket. Utility, unbacked, and stable coins. They are covering that range where you see the unbacked cryptos highlighted. Now, on the far right in the blue, you see the CBDC, which is centrally issued or state bank, that kind of stuff, which is a mechanism of sovereign, like it's digital fiat, basically. Now, when you move from one fiat to another, you do need a medium of exchange where you agree that the value is this, and you expect it to be instantaneous because you're trying to compete with the technology. So what are the utility tokens here? Centrally issued, right to a product, service, whatever, accepted across multiple ecosystem, transferable, can be used as a medium of exchange. So it's a mean of exchange, and I definitely believe payment assets, especially like XRP, has a lot of use case coming into this. Now, it won't just be XRP. I agree, there will be a lot of ecosystems inside this, for sure. But connecting all of those, you need interoperability layer and interoperability protocol, which will be coming in. So now, you go back to the general narrative of what is happening here, and you really see like, okay, these are like hypocritic movement, which you can't even agree on how things are evolving, right? And then you go further, like inside this particular video, when you actually go play this, say around, I think 13 minutes, when you come here, let me pause this for the moment and go towards the area which I want to play in, and then activate this.
To pursue a case about whether or not XRP is a security, when we have like actual frauds occurring underneath their noses, actual like bad actions that the SEC wasn't spending time on. And I think that's just really unfortunate and indicative of.
Now that is a key area which we all have to focus on. If you are a US citizen, contact your congressman, talk to them. Like, there were billions being wiped out from the market because of one or two bad actors. Great. And they're still going after something which seems to be pretty legit compared to all these other stuff, because central banks are working with them, because the existing financial institutions are partnering with this to use their products. So it seems legit, and they are already working with different regulators around the globe, and except US regulators, others feel comfortable with that. Others put that into a means of exchange. Even the judge inside that country told, okay, I see utility, I see it as a means of payment, a value exchange system, right? So there's a lot of conflict of interest which is happening inside, and Stefan actually put that clearly. So if you follow him, you actually now get that understanding. So when you look at these kind of stuff, people always say like, okay, USDT is going to explode. And I'm like, okay, great. But when you go into the IMF document about the stable coins, instead of UST, which is, the Luna crash, Luna terror, I call, at that point, comparatively, they say more reliable stable coin, such as USDT. So when you say USDT is going to completely blow off, look at what is the volume there. So the entire volume for like Bitcoin is way below that. So if this is going to blow off, there is no other coin which is going to substitute for that. So when you say institutions are here, big institutions, countries are entering this asset class, you expect that it is not going to zero. Basically, they may slow you down so that they can build the infrastructure and then push the price up. Great. Now, You come on to look at the price. Now, yes, on a daily, XRP is down 5%. Ether, Bitcoin is down like 2-3%. But look at last 1 week, XRP is still up 22%. And they are still in red. So you get the point. Now you go on to look at the short-term scenario. You're like, okay, it's 3 days since the recent top and we have not reached point 2. So we are still holding on to some level, and there are some buyers who think this is going to bounce. So they are buying whenever the price is slowing down. But the support comes here. So until we reach that support, there is a possibility you may still get volatility to the downside. And at that time, if you slow down, good thing is that the moving average now has some time to catch up with the price. Usually traders look for that as an indication of this going back up. Now, on the RSI side of this, you can say, okay, this is the first trend line. Then this is the second trend line. So you broke the second trend line, the chances are you're going to come towards the first one. Between that, you have one level of support, which happens to be this previous resistance. So we need to see whether we are going to bounce from there. If we do that, that's again bullish. Now you go look at the Bitcoin side of this. Bitcoin is still holding on to this particular level. That's critical, because as you go and look at this level, historically, just looking at what the price action was doing for this asset at that price range. So it's the supply and demand for this asset at that price range from a long period of time. You have some movement in the market. Market participants are happy to enter or exit at that point. If you're coming from the downside, a lot of people move out. If you're coming from the upside, most likely that's a support turn, resistance turned into a support, right? Now you need to see a bounce and break above the 20-day moving average. That's a different story. And the altcoin market, it is still inside this pattern. We have not cleared this pattern to the upside or to the downside. We still maintain this price structure. So unless you break to the downside and give your confirmation, it will really be hard to agree that you are going way lower in terms of price, because the way I'm looking at this, I see this. Now, why is that so important? If you remember, a couple of weeks back, when we talked about XRP going for a run, a lot of people, mocked us. Great, fine, that's all good. But this was a scenario back then. We were doing a double bottom. And if you remember 2-3 days back, I was talking about same thing happening in another asset, which was showing exactly similar indicators and the price action. And today, if you look at that, okay, that is playing out. The double bottom is coming in, right? I highlighted in the members group, right? So that is in the price action. And if you follow those, you actually can literally feel like the market is trying to do something. And what is it? Do you really feel that the market is going lower? Because if those people who bought in at this range, remember this is key at this moment. If these people who bought in here are ready to sell, the price is going lower. Whereas the price is trending here. So a lot of these guys would have sold, but you see the price holding here because these guys are not willing to sell at this price. And most likely, these are the big guys, the whales who bought in, accumulated, average down, whatever you put in, it goes up. Their target is higher. I personally know guys with a lot of XRP who didn't even consider taking profits at $2 when I was like, I'm taking some. If you want to, you can do that. And they were like, no, I'm not doing that, right? Because their price targets are higher and they have ultimate patience to go through this volatility and reach there. They are prepared to go through that. Now, inside the market, you see a lot of volatility. Now, I wouldn't even look at the Terra, Luna, Terra kind of stuff because literally you saw lunatics, crazy guys moving the crypto market, shaking it, where a lot of guys had to commit suicide. So you are not talking about that. I'm not looking at that. Great. But on the other side, when you look at coins, which has fundamentals, say Polkadot, say IOTA, say you're looking literally at different coins, right? And they are looking at the volume. Slowly they are increasing. They are starting to trend up. All of this is a sign that blue chip coins are now getting more volume. If you have a use case, you're solving some kind of problems, money is coming in. Where is the money coming from? you just saw a ton of news about how things are evolving. Now, you don't need news and narratives there. You just go look at the dollar and you're like, okay, dollar is really crazy, volatile, super volatile, going through the upside, reaching the major resistance. That's the overextended resistance line here. We thought we were going to slow down here. We did not. We slowed, but then Fed came in with a hawkish stance and pushed the price higher. What happened with that? You go look at like USD, say for example, USD to CAD. Then you see like, okay, we were trading around 1.2 earlier this year, 1.27. Then right now you're at 1.37. So historically speaking, you are running back high. You are erasing a lot of gains which CAD made over the years and you're going back up. Fine. Now that's not just one currency. You go look at a lot of different currencies and you feel like, okay, there is something massive happening in these. Because this literally shows like, okay, that's going to get devalued a lot. Now, demographics will play a huge role, that is for sure. I agree on that point because you see like some currencies are better than others, but still all of them are getting devalued compared to the reserve currency, which is the dollar. So in this particular pattern, you see INR. If you follow on a weekly, you'll see like, okay, this is a resistance which most likely is gonna push the price lower. So that is like say 84 rupees per dollar. So now for me, that is like, okay, dollar is strengthening, but I feel dollar is about to slow down somewhere here with respect to all of these currencies who are reaching a typical resistance. So if that's reached, dollar is going to go down, and that is when I really hope crypto market is going to start running hard. Because this is not just a small stuff, it will impact the entire market. You will see stocks moving. You have seen multiple governments coming out and talking about free money, tax cuts, right? Free money coming back in the market. Where will all of this go? This will actually slowly trickle back up towards the top 10% financial assets. So if you hold assets, it's great. If you don't, and if you are in fiat, may the God bless you. Now, that being said, if you are looking at different crypto assets and trying to see like, okay, what really is happening, which of these assets are actually starting to trend back up, generating new trend line, creating a new reversal, giving you a hope that next 3 months is going to be great for these particular coins, even when the entire market would be barely moving. If these uncertainties, as we just saw from the IMF, is playing out, that's really bad. But utility is going to come in, and that's what we've been talking. A lot of people were literally looking for a utility bull run, and if this happens, that is what we are going to look at. And if you want updates for those, look at the Patreon. The link is given in the description below, where we detail about all these assets regularly, and especially weekly updates for every platinum members and above for assets, 25 assets, 30 assets, 35 assets, whether it's a buy or sell or don't even touch for next 7 days, 10 days. If you are interested in that, you can look at that Patreon link. So guys, if you received value, please do hit that like and subscribe button. I'll meet you on the next video. Bye-bye.